All right, another inspirational sports story. Let's talk about that. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Movie and Pointy's movie review of Champions, the newest film from director Bobby Farrelly. Okay, so this story of Champions, which is a actually remake of the 2018 film that was a Spanish film, is a story about a basketball coach played by Woody Harrelson. He's an individual who basically gets himself in trouble. He gets fired from the team. He gets in trouble with the law by drinking and stuff like that. Ends up having to basically commit himself to 90 days of community service, and he finds himself at this local community center that basically houses this intellectual disability program of basketball players, young kids, adults, and stuff like that, who he ends up having to coach and try to get to the national championship for Special Olympics in basketball in Winnipeg. And in the process, he has to not only come to terms with himself, but he also meets an individual played by Kaitlin Olsen, who is actually the sister of one of the basketball players. And as you expect, it's a story about one individual's journey while meeting some really fun, entertaining individuals that help move the story along to the eventual conclusion, which is probably what you expect. So with that said, this was the Regal mystery movie for this month. There's also another one coming very, very soon. But when you go in, you really don't know what you're going to watch. But, it makes sense that Champions would be that film because they want to garner some buzz to, the people that are going to go watch it. They don't know what they're watching, but, if they like it, they can give, the ability for these types of movies to garner success. But as we're aware and we know, these types of films are usually there's about one or two that come out every year. It may be like something in the Christian-based faith, the area, or maybe a sports inspirational story. It's one of those films that they bring out because they know the audience will like it, they'll enjoy it, they'll feel warmth in their heart. It just the question really remains: do these types of films work? And sometimes they really do. There have been some really good Disney films that have come out, like The Queen of Katwe and stuff like that, and The Mighty Ducks, which this film really harkens and feels very inspired by. But the other question, that kind of gets brought up is like, do we need to keep making these movies? And they make a decent amount of money, so the answer is yes. Well, you stick Woody Harrelson in there, and you stick Kaitlin Olsen, who of course is from It's Always Sunny, and you have like Cheech Marin, and you have Ernie Hudson and stuff like that in this movie. Then you have the kids who are actually intellectually disabled, and you got the ability for maybe this possibly being a pretty decent movie. It's just with Bobby Farrelly, who's one of the Farrelly brothers, you really don't know what you're going to get because they've been kind of hit or miss in the last few years when it comes to being a director. They're of course known for doing like There's Something About Mary and stuff like that. So with all that rambling out of the way, is this movie worth watching? With it being an inspirational story, with it being another one of those types of films this year, and you know what, it is. It's an entertaining movie. It's a very balanced movie. It's a movie that is very traditional by the book. It follows the same steps and follows the same procedures as any inspirational sports story. It has some fun characters. It has to have it has Woody Harrelson as the crotchety old guy who is of course is inspired as this movie moves along. He has a love interest with Kate Olsen, and it's a movie that isn't kind of what you would expect from a Farrelly brother, but given on a much more, I would get, heartfelt level in a lot of respects. So there is some of that humor that they are known for, but there's also a little more maturity in their directing. You see it in the last few years of what they've been doing. But I think it's a movie that, though it has its problems, I think the story is not that great when it comes to its storytelling aspect. I still think the kids and the adults, whoever is in this movie, as well as the main actors, do a perfectly fine job. It's not a movie that I'm going to put in my top 10 list, but I think it's a movie that if somebody asked me, is Champions any good? I mean, like, yeah, it's an entertaining movie. It's worth watching. It's a film that you won't feel like disgusted by. And that's the thing about inspirational movies like these types of films, is they do a nice job of just allowing these characters to be themselves, and when it works, it truly does work. And I feel like this movie, though it doesn't 100% work all the time with this, like I said, with the scripting problems, I think it's a movie that really feels like an entertaining, heartwarming time. You could take your kids to see this movie, you could take your grandparents to see this movie. It's like a 4-quadrant movie. It has some sexual content and stuff like that in it, but the cast and crew they're truly on board with the film, and they do a really nice job. And like I said, it's not going to be any different than what you expect from an inspirational movie, so it's not going to do leaps and bounds of anything different. And it just overall, I think it's a very well-made film. I think everybody's just entertaining in it, to be fairly honest. And when it comes to people like Woody Harrelson, it's a very traditional type of film that you could see him in, you know, on top of him doing like True Detective or something like that. You could see him doing something like this or Triangle of Sadness. It's just Woody Harrelson's that type of actor where he can be very versatile when it comes to what he wants to do and how he wants to play it out. I think the movie and its kind of structure does also work too. So that's something to think about. And on top of that, like I said, you have Cheech Marin and you have, you know, Ernie Hudson playing like the smaller roles in the movie, and they do a pretty decent job. I like what Cheech Marin's doing in this. But the highlights are the cast, the you know, the kids and the adults and stuff like that, the ones who are the basketball players. I think they really care about the product they're being put in. They have a lot of funny moments and a lot of enjoyable moments and a lot of heartfelt moments, and it's just fun to watch. I think one of the standouts is Johnny, who's the brother of the Kaitlin Olsen character, and he does a really nice job. And just, it's a film that, you know, isn't mean spirited at all, is very heartwarming, doesn't, you know, play up the movie for laughs. Everybody is willing to, they're all game for whatever happens in this movie, and it doesn't feel like there's a very mean-spirited nature to it. It's a very inspirational film with a lot of really heartfelt moments. Whether it's like the best movie ever, that's remains to be seen and the person who watches the film. But I think overall, I think it's an entertaining film. It's a good film. It's a fine film. It's not what I would call, like, you know, offensive at all. It's just a film that is what it is. So there you go. But once again, that is my review of Champions. Like I said, this was an early screening, so it will be out very, very shortly. But anyways, with that said, thank you so much for watching. Comments below, have you seen the original Champions movie? You know, like I said, this is very inspired by Mighty Ducks and stuff like that. So let me know in the comments below what's your favorite inspirational sports movie and all that good stuff. Otherwise, if you like what you see on this channel, hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium. Hit that notification bell at the top to find what's coming next. If you like the video, awesome, hit that like button. And as always, we'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out.